Okay, here we are with the Garmin Phoenix and Garmin Epix. This is the Phoenix 1, and I just upgraded from the Phoenix 1 to the Garmin Epix. I thought I would just put them both here side by side so that you could see the difference. You can see that the Epix has a much wider wristband, and I actually thought it was going to be more bulky and harder to wear on my wrist. You can see there's quite a size difference between the two. Maybe not so much in the profile so much as on your wrist itself, but this actually feels really good on my wrist, much better than the Phoenix does. This was a huge upgrade going from the Phoenix 1 to the Epix for me. There was nothing wrong with my Phoenix 1. They did actually add notifications to the Phoenix 1, which was a function that I was really looking forward to. On the Phoenix 1, it really drains the battery life quite a bit. The other thing that you can do with the Phoenix, and this may be something that not everybody is aware of, you can download some really basic maps to the Phoenix 1. And I don't know about the Phoenix 3. I've been reading some reviews that maybe you can't do this on the Phoenix 3, but you can see how very basic the maps are. If you don't know how to do that, you can Google it on YouTube. There's a real great instructional video there on how to do it, and they're really basic maps though that you can pan, you can zoom. Let's go into the pan mode. You can see that there's streets on there, neighborhoods. There are trails on there, but not in any resolution that would get you any kind of topography updates or anything like that. Also, not really anything that you would want to trust in the backcountry, because not all the trails are on here. So I just wanted to mention that though, and we'll go back. And it's trying to locate satellites now. So, that was just an idea to give you an idea of the kind of things that you can do with the Phoenix that maybe you weren't aware of. The Phoenix has been a really good watch for me. I've really enjoyed having it. But it was time to upgrade to something that had some good maps on it. So that's why I went to the Epix. So let's step through the Epix. You saw part 1 of my video, hopefully, which was out in the backcountry using it. It is connected via Bluetooth right now to my iPhone 5S, and you have to download the Connect app. And the Connect app has a dashboard on it with a lot of things that I am not using on my Epix, which count steps and do your sleep and so forth. There's a news feed that just shows some of the activities that you've been doing, notifications, the fitness aspect, which I'm not using, social, which I haven't used, but it looks like you can have people follow your workouts in real time if you wanted to do that via live track. And then you go to the Connect IQ store, which, let's see if we get there, is where you would download widgets and apps. Yeah, there it is. Now the difference between apps and widgets, and there's lots of different watch faces you can download as well, nothing that really struck my eye. I've downloaded a widget and an app, actually also a data, 2 widgets I've downloaded, the battery meter and the calendar widget, and I'll show those to you. You can also have different devices hooked up to this. These are all my devices. And then some general settings. So, real briefly, the widgets that you download on here show up on the watch face as you scroll through. The buttons are different from the Phoenix. The main button that you use is still kind of the same. This is still the light and the power. This is the return button, same as here, and then you have a start-stop button over here, and a button over here as well. So it's similar, but the functions are a little bit different, I found. So there's the battery meter widget. There's the calendar widget, and whoops, it's kind of cool because you can change it to different years if you want. There's the calendar that syncs with the phone, and every appointment that I have on here shows up on here, including reminders, which is really handy to have. The weather app, notice the touch screen. It gives you hourly as well as a daily forecast, and this is coming off of the Bluetooth connection with the phone, so when you're not connected to the phone you don't get this. The temperature on my wrist, of course. I did use it with a Tempe, and for some reason it lost connection with the Tempe, and I haven't had a chance to look into that to see why that might be. The barometer, and you can set a storm alert on here, although for some reason I haven't gotten mine to work yet, so I'm still working on that. The altimeter, which works pretty well, and then also the headings. Now, I do have some of the widgets turned off, and you can turn them off. We're going to get back to that in a minute, the map. You can turn them off by going to settings, oops, and going to widgets, and here's where you do see the wellness. I have it turned off, so it's on hide. The compass is on show, so you can turn things on and off. Oh, you can control your verb from here as well, which I have done, and that works great. Here's the calendar widget and the battery meter, and I can turn them on and off here to where they show or don't show. So getting back to 91% battery life on here, and the reason why I wanted to show you that, I started the day with about 97% battery life, and I had it connected via Bluetooth to my phone the whole time, all day, so did not use a whole lot of the battery. Whereas the Phoenix, when I have it connected via Bluetooth for notifications, it uses a lot of battery. I can use 30 or 40% of the battery in a day. You also can't have this and a heart rate connected at the same time, whereas with this you can. You'd be using your notifications and your heart rate at the same time. So, activities are where you get your apps, and that's this button up here. And when you press that button, you can set up each one of these to do different screens, data screens. So like my hiking screen is different from my trail running screens. The one complaint I have about the screens here is that there is not a battery indicator screen on here, so I was a little bit bummed about that. I'm connected to GPS now, and it is touch, so you can move it up and down and see the different data fields that you've set up. Now here's the map field. I have it set up with bird's eye imagery right now, and let me tell you, I did the low resolution of the bird's eye imagery to start with, and you couldn't see hardly anything on here. They touted as being able to tell, you know, hey, maybe you want to see where the nearest water hole is. Well, I'll tell you, this is the high resolution bird's eye imagery, and if we go in here and we try and zoom in, you can see that your resolution is really, really poor. And what they suggested, and I haven't tried yet, is downloading the extremely high resolution bird's eye and see if I get a better section, a better visibility out of it, which I guess for one trip or so that's not a big deal, because you would have you would be able to download just a section or a piece for a hike. This particular file was 256 megabytes, and you can see that the resolution just isn't very good at all. It has the streets overlaid on it. However, if I go into my map configuration, and that's going to be in settings as well, and let's go to maps and configure maps. It comes, I've got the one loaded with the 100K topo. Here's your bird's eye satellite imagery. If I turn that off, okay, now when I go back to my map, I'm going to see just the Street View map, which works out really good. I used this in the backcountry, and the trails showed up really nice. Great resolution for that kind of thing. I am going to try and download some quad maps to it. I haven't gotten there yet. With the Epix, you get 1 free year of bird's eye imagery, which also allows you to access some quad maps, and I have not done that yet, so I will be trying that. So those are the different, you can set up the different, that's how you start it and stop the track. And then if I decide I want to discard it, I can say discard, or I can say activity discarded, as you can see. If you decide that you want to set up something different, you can set up the different apps differently. Here's the one app I have downloaded, which is POI Get, and all it really does is it shows you nearby points of interest, hence the term POI Get. And there's my nearby points of interest. Okay. Not really. It's kind of cool, but you can get that in your maps field as well. So it's a neat little thing. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more widgets and apps that come out, but the important thing I wanted to emphasize is that apps reside here in your GPS functions, accessing the GPS, and widgets reside on the watch face that don't require access to the GPS. Let's talk a little bit about the navigation. I did the backtrack. It worked out great. All the navigation and general GPS functions on here, if you've used a Garmin watch like the Fenix before, or the 910 or the 405, it's pretty intuitive. It's all kind of the same stuff all over again, so I'm not going to get into that, really. The one thing I wanted to mention that is kind of a bummer is that I did the first software update, and when I did that, it lost Bluetooth connectivity with the iPhone, and the only way to restore it was to delete the app from the phone, reinstall the app, and then go through the initialization process of going through the Garmin Connect synchronization process again, the initial synchronization process. And that was a real bummer. It would have been worse if I was using the fitness tracker and the sleep tracker, because I would have lost all that data. Well, since then, the same thing has happened to me a few other times, and I've only had this watch for about 3 weeks, where I've lost the connectivity and could not restore it, except by deleting the Connect app, reinstalling the Connect app, reinitializing everything, and starting all over again. That's a major pain. I called Garmin about that today. They didn't have a record of reports of that, although I've seen reports of it on forums that there's a Bluetooth stability issue. So when I experience that problem again, I'm supposed to call them again. And Garmin has the best customer service support of any company I've ever worked with before. So I feel like we'll get it resolved. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. So I hope that review helped you out a little bit to understand some of the basic functions. The particular watch face that I have set up right now shows the time, it shows a steady barometer, it shows a full moon, it shows the time of the sunset. All that I can get on here too, on my Fenix 1, same thing. I kind of have it set up the same way with fields that I like. The battery life has been about what I expected in the backcountry. I've only taken it on 3 hikes, so it's draining a little bit faster than I had hoped, but not unacceptably. But the battery life with the Bluetooth connectivity, day-to-day use, getting your notifications of emails and texts and so forth, working out great. Using less than 10% of the battery in a day. So I think that's really, really fantastic for your day-to-day use. I have not taken it on a really long trip to see how it does on a 7 or 8 hour deal or longer. so I can't give you a report on that. I can tell you I did use a solar charger to charge it, or a battery charger, and when it said it hit 100%, it wasn't really at 100%, it was like at 93%, but that's what I was using. The backcountry was a solar charged battery, and then a battery to charge, and then using the battery to charge this. So if you're charging it in the backcountry, just be aware of that. If you're using a battery charger or solar, it'll say 100%, it's probably not at 100%, it might be at like 92 or 93. So you might want to leave it connected a little bit longer. And if you have any questions about the Epix, feel free to drop me a note and I'll try and answer it for you. But on a scale of 4 out of 5, I would give it a 4.5, and the only reason I don't give it a 5 out of 5 is because of the Bluetooth connectivity issue that I'm having, and the fact that the bird's eye imagery on here is pretty useless right now. I might add a comment later if I find out that you've got 8 gigabytes of storage on here, and to take up, I did the city of Albuquerque, well, basically part of a city on there, and it was probably a 20-mile by 30-mile square, and it was 256 megabytes for high quality, and it was not the ultra high quality or whatever they call it. I'll try that next, and that might be a 1 gigabyte map, so it's not something you're going to download big chunks of and put in there. But just the mapping functions alone, I am so very, very pleased with that. So those are the only 2 negative things I have to say about the watch so far. And if you, like as I said, if you have any questions, drop me a line and I'll try and answer them for you. And that's it.